Todd, I have and I know you're getting Andrew on the line, but I'm not Andrew, Joe Adkins on the line. I'm in this pool with Andrew Gilman. I'm going to need the help of the listeners on this. Now, my chances of winning this pool are probably slim to none as it is. But I am in a pool with him, and we can bring Joe in on this as well. I'm in kind of an eliminator pool for the NCAA tournament, Joe, where you pick a team, a survivor pool, where you pick a team to win just straight up on each day of the tournament from the first round on, and you get as many points as their seed number plus 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But I've already picked Michigan State. I can't pick them again.
Oh.
So now, you got to also remember, I can't pick the winner. You know, the two teams that win, I can't on Saturday. I can't pick, or I'm sorry, whoever I pick for Saturday, I can't pick them again in the championship game if they're there.
What?
So, who would you have me pick on Saturday of the 3 teams remaining, not Michigan State?
And the team you pick.
The team I pick, if they advance to Monday, I cannot pick them. So I'm thinking save Kentucky, right? You got to save Kentucky to Monday?
Yeah, you do.
So then what, Duke?
You take Duke. Yeah, you take Duke.
So that's the way I got to do it.
Kentucky Monday, yeah. Exactly. It took me a minute to catch that. I had to.
Does that make sense now?
Go all in a circle. Yeah, I had to get in a circle for a little
but
bit.
yes.
No, I think you might have did. Sometimes I'm slow. Now, I'm not going to say I always catch it the first time. You kind of caught me off guard, so I wasn't in my fob and the maze. I wasn't in that mode.
Did I make you think a little too early today? I made you think.
Well, I didn't know. I just didn't know what we were going to talk about. So I didn't think you were going to ask me a question like that. I figured you were going to say something about the discussions you were having, or you were going to. I figured you had something to shoot at me real quick. So I was just kind of ready to get at you, man. My fault.
Gotcha.
Hey, you did get me. You got me.
All right, so let's talk the Thunder. We'll come back around. We will roll back around at the end and finish up with some college hoops. But with the Thunder, now you were texting me during the show yesterday. We kind of had this, it's almost a chicken or an egg conversation, where Todd's complaining about Russell Westbrook and the offense in the game against the Mavericks, and I am of the ilk that, yes, as much as we just need to probably ignore defense for the most part, I've got a line, and I think the line might be, no matter how bad of a defensive team you are, you cannot give up 135 points. So I said, we should probably focus more on that. And I know Todd went on a Russ rant, and you texted me. Can I read your text to the audience? Is that all right?
You can read it, or I'll say it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Explain what your thought was on it.
Well, I know one of the arguments, I believe, Todd, was transition defense. And it is transition defense. But when you talk transition defense, then when Russell Westbrook drives to the basket, he can't be responsible for getting back on defense. I mean, he's at the rim. So there's no way he can be 2 places at once. Then if you tell Russell Westbrook, okay, don't drive to the basket, then Anthony Merrill's not going to get those shots that he's getting wide open. So now you're taking away from some of the Thunder offense. But in transition defense, I did notice what I see that the problem is and what Todd is talking about, although Todd is old school. The point guard is always supposed to get back. When Russell Westbrook goes to the rim, and he decides to shoot it, say he goes and tries to shoot a layup. Well, who's ever on the wing, Anthony Morrow will just use him and Waiters. They should be back on defense. I mean, he can't pass it to him. He shot it. A lot of times they stand at the three-point line, and then they observe, and then once the ball gets, they get the rebound, it's like, oh, now we got to sprint. Well, it's too late then because, it's a point guard coming at you extremely fast, so they're not great defensive players, so it'll put them in a disadvantage. So those points like that, Zach, those are not necessarily fast break points, but it is fast break points because they score early in the clock. I think that's why sometimes those numbers were deceiving, where it was only 16. But they scored a lot within the first 8 to 10 seconds, so it's not a true fast break.
Comes back to Todd just not liking a scoring point guard. I think.
Yeah.
A guy who
That's
that is a non-traditional point guard. Yeah.
And then but that's okay. You can like that. And then you have to take this into consideration. Yeah, Russell Westbrook
Todd?
10 for 32. Okay, in the first quarter he missed 4 layups. 3 of them Tanner picked up and put it in, and the other Adams picked it up and put it in. So now they're getting offensive rebounds and the bucket, but Russell Westbrook gets the missed field goal attempt. And then we talk about it at the end of the game. Yes, it does count, but they're getting the points in that possession. So it doesn't hurt them because they just had another guy get the point. So the only negative play was to Russell Westbrook. He gets a missed shot. But in the Tanner, he gets an offensive rebound and a putback. So at the end of the game, you say, well, Tanner had 30 or 15. Well, if he got 12 points out of Russell Westbrook, just getting a layup, that's 12 and 6 rebounds right there. So the numbers are really kind of screwed. They're correct when you look at them, but that's not really the impact that it's having on the game. A lot of times he cleans up a miss from Russell because his man comes over to defend Russ at the rim. Now it puts him in the offside rebound. He's out of position, so Cannon cleans it up and puts it in, or Adams puts it in. They're getting those points. But, yeah, at the end of the night, it's a missed shot for Russell Westbrook. But then we look at Steven Adams or their numbers, and they have these great numbers. But the play was made by Westbrook. It wasn't made by them. That's why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say, and I agree with the one part about, Joe, how when Russell goes to the basket, other people have to get back. Now, part of what the Thunder are doing right now is they're flattening everybody out, so that becomes a lot harder for some of those guards to get back. But you're right, they still need to rotate back better.
No, but then I'm going to tell you this, Todd, because you're right. There are times that when Russell Westbrook goes to the basket and he kicks it out for 3, rather than getting back on defense, he's staying in to get the offensive rebound. That puts you as well as a disadvantage. So, yes, some of those plays are on him, but all of them are not on him. But if rather than staying in, the risk reward is just disheartening because you're giving up. He's getting 11 rebounds. He may get 3 offensive rebounds, but they're giving up 12 to 14 transition points. So the risk reward is not worth that. They're going to have to eliminate those because those are just easy baskets that you're giving the other team without any contesting. Dallas is good enough offensively. You don't have to give them very much help. So, Todd, you're right. Some of those he's not getting back because he's trying to stay in offensive rebound. And I think, Scott, but you have to eliminate that because they're not a great defensive team. They're giving up enough layups in the half court. They don't need to give anybody any uncontested layups. So in that, Todd, you are right. But some of those don't fall on him.
I didn't hear anything after you said, Todd, you're right, but I appreciate you saying that.
Joe Adkins with us on 107.7 The Franchise.
Could you hear me then, Zach?
Oh, I heard it. I heard you loud and clear.
Okay.
That's just Todd. After he hears that he's right, he just doesn't listen to anything else.
I was standing up with my hands outstretched. I ran down the hallway and I said, "Did you guys hear that? I was right."
He was fist pumping to himself.
Joe, you'll like this tweet I got earlier, and I'll let you move on after this, Zach. From KD's Big Toe, it says, I think Zach was reading a portion of the Lee Jenkins story in SI, and we're going to have Lee Jenkins on here in about 6-7 minutes, where he said Russell Westbrook brought in the new era of point guards, and KD's Big Toe tweeted, "Todd just fell out of his chair. # point guards are supposed to be white." I figured you would like that, Joe.
Joe likes that. He's like, I better not laugh too loud, but it's funny.
You guys say, there's a lot of Damian Lillard is a score-first point guard. Kyrie Irving is a score-first point guard. Steph Curry doesn't average 10 assists per game. Those guys are shooting the ball.
Amen, brother.
It's not really just Russell Westbrook that's doing this.
Chris Paul had 41 the other night.
Yeah,
even he can score the basketball.
Yeah,
you probably hated that game from him, Todd.
He had 17 assists. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, no, because he doesn't hunt shots. No matter what shots are going to come. So those guys hunt shots more than Chris Paul would, but they're better shooters than Chris Paul, so they should hunt shots. So it's different. It's going to be different for each team. That's why you have to put together the right group.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, too, is you're right on Russell going to the rim, but he can't be shooting 11 threes in a game. That just can't happen.
That was not good. No, that part of his game. I don't. Every once in a while we have that where that happens. When he shoots 6, I'm almost like, unless he made 4 or 5 or 3, maybe he may have shot too many, but 11 is entirely too many. Yeah,
How
he can't do that.
How should OSU and OU fans be reacting to Shaka Smart to Texas?
Oh, I would be very aware. I mean, you don't want to say you're disappointed, but that's a really good coach, a hot young coach who's recruited really well to DCU. I mean, the last 3 years, I think last 2, he signed at least one McDonald's All-American, and that's a DCU. That's a mid-major. You give him the access to a Texas, then I think his recruiting gets even better. Now, I don't know, but I'm going to assume if he could get them to come to DCU when they come on Texas campus, I'm sure they're going to be impressed.
All right, when we call you Monday, we will be talking about blank versus blank in the NCAA title game.
Oh, we'll get the big blue matchup, what everyone wants, Duke versus Kentucky.
All right, hold you to it. Talk to you later.
All right, fellas, you have a good one.
All right, buddy. Joe Adkins, everybody, on the Little Caesars Hot and Ready Hotline.